to go down the route of violence, then I can give you this assurance today. Of course, your worldwide listeners and viewers may be able to note this. If they do not give us Biafra, there will be nothing living in that very zoo they call Nigeria. Nothing will survive there, I can assure you. You see, 1967 to 1970 is not 2013 to 2015. We had scientists then, now we have men that can make things happen, even better than what we had in the late 60s. So that should ring as a warning to all of them that we are not joking. I do not believe in peaceful actualization or whatever rubbish is called. I have never seen where you become free by peaceful means. If you know, you tell me. I am a student of contemporary history. I have never come across anywhere in history books where you get your freedom out of a peaceful process.
If we abandon Chukwukika Biama in truth and honesty, please give back to Biafra. Biafra had in the pure years. You'll be only running around in circles. It can never come. It is the kingdom of heaven itself. You want to do something that is happening in heaven, on earth, for mankind to see and testify to the goodness of the Lord. You have to be of the courage. You have to be without fear in the face of your enemies. If you are without fear before your enemies will run from you. Rather than you running from them, your enemies will run from you. If you speak the truth always, regardless of the consequences, lies will run from you. You must protect those who cannot protect themselves, not to steal from them. I repeat, it is your job as a child of heaven, IPOB family member, to protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is your job. Not to kidnap them, not to rob them. You must be of good conduct. That's Chiku Okike Abiam left. If these conditions are not in place, Biafra will not come. Biafra Gahabia. Going to a native doctor, Didianyanzu cannot save you. If you want Biafra, it doesn't work. We don't believe in that rubbish. Chukwukika is our shield and our guide. We don't commune with darkness. I am warning all 17 commanders, all our commanders, we don't commune with the devil. We don't do Odeshi. We believe in the protection that Chukwukika can offer. The weapon you need to protect yourself is your gun and your ammunition. We don't.
All of you, 200 million idiots, complete morons. You are there. You're looking sheepishly like a bunch of white. In fact, a hyena is better than all of you. Why do I even? Can you manage my makeup? If I want to interact, that is why I don't go to parties. I don't do anything because the way we reason is laughable. If I want to interact with true Africans, I go to wildlife safari park. At least if I see a zebra, a chimpanzee, those are our true Africans. We can mingle together. Maybe I can understand them better. Because at least if they see danger, they can run. All of you see danger and you keep embracing it. Keep embracing it. Look at Imo State. How many people in Imo State? Over 5 million. Somebody came forth in an election. They pushed him to number 1. Everybody is just like this. Even some bishops want to go and congratulate him. Some people said, hey, don't touch him. Oh. He's our man. Hey, let's move him forward. These are black people. Very backward. Useless. When they kill in America, he said, it's racism. Racism. You are a fool. That's not like racism. They are killing you because of your natural stupidity. By nature, you are stupid as a black person. Do you have running water? Without maybe solar charger and generator, will you be watching me now? Are you not ashamed of yourselves? Are you not ashamed? But UNN has engineering department.
Thank you for joining. I want to thank you. I want to welcome you to this program today. Today is the 26th day of June 2023, and now it is 48 minutes past 6 p.m. in Biafra land. I want to thank you from wherever you're watching from, and I want to say, as you join in, just send it on all your social media platforms, and let people also join us as we speak today to ourselves and also engage in the narrative of freedom and the costs that goes with it. Thank you, Adazan. Thank you, Ma, for joining. Good evening, and thank you so much. I'll keep the good work. I want to appreciate you for joining. Wherever you're watching from, please click on the like button right now. Just click on the like button, and then you share on all your social media platforms. This is Biafra Global Network. My name is Kelechi Ambrose, and I'm here as your host to take us through this ride of talking and discussing as we look forward to marching into and in that process, it comes with, you have to understand, we cannot the I hope again the problem with network today. I hope we're going to have it smooth here, and of course we're going to have a good ride here. But hopefully we expect probably to have a smooth ride, and hoping, I don't know, I don't have control of the network, but hopefully, okay, I can see myself now again. So are happening right now. So many things are happening, and you see, when you begin to look at them, you begin to, it's really wrong with our people. What Mazin and the kind of people, what is wrong with our, let me, maybe I should use that expression or that description, black people. Maybe I should start using it, because the kind of behavior, the kind of attitude that we portray is shocking. Very, very shocking. The kind of behavior. How can the people fight their own freedom? How can the people be so much so having this self-hate that all they are concerned about is what they can get temporarily, and boycott, let me use the word boycott, or ignore or reject their freedom? The kinds of the very smelly and putrid activities going on, betrayal upon betrayal, evil, to the point you begin to wonder what is really the expectation of all these people. What is really the desire of these people? What do they really want to achieve in life? You begin to wonder, what do our people want to achieve? What do they want to really achieve? Today, we are the ones holding back our freedom, not the Fulanis. Not the Fulanis. We are the ones holding back our freedom. We are the ones delaying our freedom. We are the ones sabotaging our freedom. The Fulanis are just sitting back, the British contraption just sitting back, watching people and are involved causing so much havoc, causing so much trouble, causing so much, so much devastation. Just a few people. Just a few people. But the problem about it is this. With animals than to relate first to relate with kids. To relate with animals. Here, thank you for coming. We move as always here. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Please, as we join in, just like this video because we are going to send message far and wide. We're going to be talking. Now, since Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped and extraordinarily renditioned, today makes it precisely 2 years when he was brought into the contraption, 26th day of June. 26th day of June. 26th day of June. Now, observe the activities of those who claim they are standing in the gap until Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is out. Observe the activities. I took my time to begin to reminisce as I was busy this afternoon and all of that, doing the things I needed to do. I was just reminiscing over this whole thing. Just think about the behavior and the actions of everyone who have been professing to be a disciple of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu or being, a son of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu or being the ones there in positions of control, of authority, of speaking, and those who are talking about command and control, those who are talking about sonship and calling themselves with different names, calling themselves different names, and just professing with their mouth and saying what is not even in their hearts. Observe every attitude and action of the people, and these people are just empty. Observe every of their actions since Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped and extraordinarily renditioned. Today makes it precisely 2 years. 2 years. I am so angry in my spirit. So angry. Because, you know why? If we have been doing the right things and it is 2 years, then we would have known that it is actually the need to step up what we're doing. But conspicuously, and to embellish this point I'm making, it is critically a 2 years of dormancy, 2 years of stupidity, 2 years of negligence, 2 years of wickedness. That is what our people are expressing for the past 2 years. Now, let me ask this question, because I want our people, I want you watching and those who are going to watch later to reason. Let's reason this out. Why would I claim, speak, or profess to be in a thing that has to do with profiting other people, benefiting people, or benefiting my generation? And yet, I am just doing something contrary to what I claim I'm doing. What do I really want to achieve by claiming that I am in Biafra struggle, of Biafra fight for freedom, and yet everything I do is contrary to getting the people free? Now, what do I want to achieve? Because we are talking about a program that sets a nation free. Setting a nation free means setting me free at the same time, giving me an opportunity to be truly successful. Because let me tell you guys some stuff here. True success for anybody is achieved on the premise of freedom. Let me explain so that you can understand. You see, when God decided to give people the satisfaction of belonging by making them have their nations, because there is a connection between, now listen carefully, please, I want you to listen. There is a connection between your location and your purpose. You have to understand that. Now, your purpose is connected to a particular location that is designed with the complete materials and content that you need for the fulfillment of purpose. Now, I want to point this out for those of our people who are out there. Please, I'm making my words very clear so that people can really have, and I'm making it very slow so people can pick my words clearly here and get these details, because it is necessary that we look at things critically and know why we are doing what we are doing. Check it out. When Ojukwu was here, he was greatly sabotaged. The sabotaging has caused delays. The man couldn't succeed as he was supposed to because there was sabotage. Now, ask yourself the question, what is the benefit to those who sabotaged him? Children, their children are living betraying and funny towards the whole thing, the cause of humanity, the freedom of humanity. Now, so let's look at this. Let me embellish this point here now. Let's look at it. You see, purpose is not complete or is not well known, especially purpose that connects humanity or connects you to humanity or that explains your life. Your purpose for life is not truly defined unless you find the link between that purpose and your world. Now get this right. Get this right. Every Biafran, because this is a mind surgery show. We're going to be looking at this critically. And I want you to reason very, very well, because our people must be informed so that when you are acting, those of you who are betraying, those who are just busy looking for money, those who are just look at the nonsense going on in the name of fighting for freedom. People are just selling their destinies, selling the destiny of generations to come because they don't want to do the right thing. They just want to satisfy themselves for now. If you talk about your purpose in life and you have not been able to connect your purpose in life to your world or to the world out there, then you have not discovered the fullness of your purpose. The only time is defined well and fully is when you understand that the reason for every purpose is for the benefit of the outside world where you are located. That means, let's take this, let me embellish it with this, the narrative here now. If you are employed in a company and you're working, every activity you carry out in that company is meant to service or to offer service to somebody else. Am I correct? Which means that someone who sits on the desk as the customer care representative is actually going to serve people. He's not there for himself or herself. The person who is in the store of the resources, the materials of that company, is taking care of those resources, and that's to achieve the products, achieve the result of what they are composed or designed to achieve. Am I correct? So that person taking care of the store is not taking care of the store for themselves. In that company, takes the records, the expenditure and the assets and the income and all of that. This himself, because the information that he gathers is not for himself, but for the company based on the relationship between. So those something about the information collated and designed and created and put together by the accountant is go have a lot of meaning when he is for the purpose of sustaining that company for on behalf of the outside world, on behalf of the customers, those who are the marketers in that department have the meaning of their department translated or transcribed in their service to the end users. That means nobody lives for themselves. We all live for the purpose of fulfilling or meeting a need out there. That means that to understand your purpose fully in life, to understand my purpose fully in life, is to understand why I am doing what I'm doing in relation to the end users, the world at large. Now let's bring it to Biafra. Let's come to Biafra because I need to speak to Biafrans and those of us who have allowed ourselves to be used by politicians, those of us who have allowed ourselves to be used by our greed, our criminality, sometimes people want to just excuse their criminality and stupidity with the narrative of I actually meant it for good. Now you cannot tell me about how much you mean by your actions or your behavior or the things you're doing by just telling me that this is actually, it is for the good, without that thing translating and that fact you're trying to convey or that information you're trying to convey. Because the information you want to convey, I'm not in your heart, you are not in my heart. The only way I can give the fullness of the definition or what I mean by my action is when I am doing things according to due process. One, we're talking about accountability and transparency now. Now let's go to the other end. Before I go let me go on the ground, this other side where we have betrayals. Now, so many stories are just everywhere. Our men are being killed. Oh my God. Biafra land is bleeding. People are being killed. People are being killed. People are at the same time sabotaging other people. I can tell you how many death threats I receive, but I don't talk about them. But I believe something, that to stand for the truth is better than otherwise. So which means I understand the role I play, because I know it will impact the next generation. And of course, even after my generation is gone, the generations to come should benefit. We want to build a nation that becomes a cynosure of freedom. Now, if your purpose in life is not defined to explain the solution you are offering to the outside world, if you don't have an insight to the solution you are solving, or the solution you're offering, in relation to what you are doing, then you have a serious problem. We want to come back home. Edith Nidu, yes, we want to come back home. Honestly, we want to come back home. I'm dying to be home. Now, let me go. Edith Nidu have taken me back to what I was trying to explain. So let me go to what I was trying to explain initially. Now, let me tell you this. Anytime what you are doing, what you think you have achieved, does not have a connection to your foundation, or does not have a connection, if what you think you have achieved is not defined or does not have a foundation to your location which you originally are from, then there's a big problem about how much you have succeeded. Now, do you know why God gave Israel their land? God gave Israel their land because their land represents the totality of their beginning, their origin. Even if God is our source, God is our source, but he puts us and he begins our lives on a platform, and that platform is where we are from. Do you know why you can talk about Americans succeeding, an American to say I'm successful, or a British say I'm successful, or a Chinese say I'm successful, or an Australian say I'm successful? You know why? The only time they define their success is because they have their total sovereignty, their freedom, and everything they do is in a sovereign point of view. That means every American can talk about sovereignty and define their success based on the fact that in their nation, they have control of what they do, and so they work for the benefit of their nation, their location. Now, let me tell you this. There is no African. I don't know, some people argue that name is African, should not be, because that's not our original name. Let's leave that for now. We want to first get ourselves free from the colonial grab or the colonial tentacles that have held us all these years, which we are sustaining. In fact, it's like someone tying you a rope, and yes, you keep turning around to make the rope tie you more, to get entangled more. Do you know that every African, wherever they are located, whether they call themselves Black Africans, Black Americans, their fathers were sold into slavery and now they think that they are Americans, or they think they are Chinese, or they think they are whatever you think you are, whether Caribbean or whatever. As long as you're an African, you have a source. Your father, your great-grandfather is connected to Africa. You are not successful yet, no matter how much you have in your bank account, because whatever you have gotten materially is only a portion of what you are supposed to achieve in fullness, because the sustenance of your generation is the definition of your total freedom or your total success. How? When I have $1 million in my account and I think I've achieved anything and I build my houses in America or Australia or wherever I build my houses, the fullness of my success is yet under the percentage of 10. Because freedom gives me at least a level of total ground, or the absolute ground for me to begin to define my material success, Material success requires spiritual success to be fundamentally evident, which means my spiritual success is evident in my locational definition, or defined in my location, which is where I am from. That is why God gave Israel and told them he's going to take them to the land of milk and honey, the land that he's going to give them, because your source, your location is from your source, and your source needs you to be in your location and then define your material success. And then in that regard of your material success, your other generations to come begin to enjoy the benefit of that location based on the fact that you have a fundamental connection to your location, and that explains how further you can go, because your location defines true freedom. That is why an American is successful. That is why a British is successful. That is why the one who is in China is successful. Now, there's something I want to tell you about people who are betrayals. Now, I'll give you this definition. Before I do that, I'm going to play that voice of that video of Mazin again, so that you can, because two things I want to talk about today, those vital. And then we can now move on from there. What next? And we end for today. Thank you. Just watch this.
None of you, 200 million idiots, complete morons. You are there. You're looking sheepishly like a bunch of white. In fact, a hyena is better than all of you. Why do I even? Can you manage my makeup? If I want to interact, that is why I don't go to parties. I don't do anything, because the way we reason is laughable. If I want to interact with true Africans, I go to wildlife safari park. At least if I see a zebra, a chimpanzee, those are our true Africans. We can mingle together. Maybe I can understand them better, because at least if they see danger, they can run. All of you see danger and you keep embracing it. Keep embracing it. Look at Imo State. How many people in Imo State? Over 5 million. Somebody came forth in an election. They pushed him to number 1. Everybody's just like this. Even some bishops want to go and congratulate him. Some people said, hey, don't touch him. Oh, he's our man. Hey, let's move him forward. These are black people. Very backward. Useless. When they kill in America, you say, hey, it's racism. Racism. You are a fool. That's not like racism.
Now, I'm going to stop there, because so that I can now speak. Now, there are two examples I want to give. I saw a video on social media where, some Biafrans, let me call them Biafrans, because they are Biafrans by birth, because you are fundamental, two kinds of definition of Biafra. Two definition. One, Biafra means being intellectually sound. That is the first definition of what Biafra means. And that is why we say is either you're a Biafran or you are, either you are a Nigerian or you're an intellectual. Nigeria means being daft, stupid, and void of constructive reasoning. Nigeria means, it doesn't matter your academic, potential and all of that. It doesn't matter your gifts, your aptitude and all of that. That is not it. That is not the issue. The issue here is that Nigeria, according to the standard definition that I have composed and all of that, means lack of intellectual capacity, lack of propensity and ability to reason, lack of zest, and of course, resilience to the cause of fundamental reasoning. And Nigeria represents everything. Contrary. Everything now, but being a Biafran is in two ways. Now, also being a Biafran is defined in two ways. In my own style, as in I'm the kind of preach, and that's into the order of the spiritual. According to the order of the spiritual, and what Mazin Namdi preached, that's what Mazin Namdi Kanu preached. I don't know why this network is. According to the order of the spiritual, Biafra represents truth and justice, and Biafra represents transparency, accountability, and everything. Whatever way you means, that means you are born as a Biafran, and so you are a Biafran. So, and that is just one, because this has to come. The identity of based on the fact that you are born or you are a citizen of Biafra. So that is one side. That doesn't mean you are intellectually sound. You can be a Biafran by birth, but you are not intellectually sound. You are empty. You mental. You are just empty and just a debt box, as TGJ calls it, a debt box signifying nothing, just empty. You're just a mold, something molded out of clay, and just there, occupying space, having breath. Just breath into Nepash, breath into you by God, and you're just breathing, but you are empty. You are occupying vital space on earth, because that space you occupy is so much so important, because every space we occupy in life or on earth is supposed to be productive and useful to humanity. But when you are just a human, just existing without living fundamentally according to the principles of purpose, you are living, you are existing, but yet not living. Because your living means fulfilling, in my definition here, fulfilling a particular purpose why you are created. But existing takes you to the point of just having breath in you, but yet not being empty and void. So that space requires to be emptied so that somebody else will come into it. Now, I saw this particular video, and I saw these two men. They were just there. They said they're in Mecca. They are representing, they started talking about Hope Uzodimma. They said Hope Uzodimma is this. Hope Uzodimma is the man. Hope Uzodimma is the governor of Imo State. Hope Uzodimma is this and that, blah, blah, blah. They were just saying so many things, and then they finished. And then the next thing we saw, in Mecca there, they were just putting down this, they are aware, representing what they are doing there. I don't know what they're doing with other people and from all nations and all of that being there. And they were just talking, and they were just telling you about how Hope Uzodimma. I don't know whether they were trying to advertise Hope Uzodimma, because basically I think they're trying to use that means of getting contracts. Of course, when people begin to go outside lies and begin to play games of manipulation and deceit, that is when they begin to, because every politician is a criminal and deceitful, especially in the zoo. They are criminals and they are deceitful. So they want to see, once you display that characteristics of insincerity and cunning, aptitude and behavior, definitely they embrace you. So they wanted to show Hope Uzodimma that they are in Mecca, and of course they are Muslims, and then also they can, of course, so that, of course, as Hope Uzodimma also is as a criminal who is now loyal to the Fulanese and has who also believes in what they're doing in Sokoto, the caliphate doing there, and has gone to bow down to them and has gone to bring down his boxers to them there and all of that, all this nonsense they do for political gains and all of that, and it's he keys into the sentiment of Islam and all of that. So these ones also need to play that same game. And of course, birds of the same feather flock together. That's the narrative here. And so when he sees some people too who are not straightforward, he brings them into the camp, because it takes a criminal to work with criminals like him, because they have things in common. And of course, no one wants to expose the other one. The only thing is that they watch their backs to make sure this one does not outsmart the other one. And then it is better for them that way anyways, because I don't want this one to outsmart me and you cannot outsmart me. So we'll keep ourselves in that check, but not in truth, because that check has no connection to truth. And so he was saying all of this stuff. He says he's from Imo State. And it's shocking. It's painful to me, because when you find Biafrans beginning to bring strange gods into Biafra land, and begin to pay obeisance to strange narratives and trying to make it, you know, you begin to understand the extent of betrayal we have in Biafra land. Now, another one is, of course, is let me give you this narrative. Another one is, of course, is Simon, who tells you that he's ready to patronize demons. Now, you patronize the devil. Now you see, and Satan. Now you see the kind of problem we have in Biafra land. Now let me take you to this. Now, let me take you to this. Last week Saturday, I think some of you, of course, are obviously knowledgeable about this. And on Sunday, you heard the leader of the Wagner group, militia group that Russia is engaged and is using as a means of attacking Ukraine and all of that. And the leader of the Wagner group, they claimed that according to them, they said their men were attacked by the Russian military, and so the leader of the Wagner group had to go occupy the military, the military, building also in one particular city in Russia, and then from there he was given the impression, he said he was marching to Moscow. If the chief of staff of so, or whatever it's called, whether it's the chief of staff or the minister of defense or so, I've forgotten the name, the one in charge of the military, anyways, aside the president, and he makes a very critical statement. Now, remember, Wagner has been one of the major force fighting in Ukraine. Major force. And the leader of Wagner said something critical that caught my attention. Of course, they can always want to manipulate this thing. They can just deny it and say he actually said it because he wanted to get rid of that minister of defense or something, or the chief of staff or something, or minister of defense, whoever that person is, whatever they call their own. And he said something. He said the reason why the war was started in Ukraine is because the chief of staff or the minister of defense was, who is a general now, wants to be promoted to become a field marshal. And the purpose of, not because Ukraine is a threat, but because he wanted to become a field marshal. That means that being a general, he needed to move from that point of being a general to becoming a field marshal, the highest, the highest rank in the military formation. Now, I began to, when I heard that stuff on Sunday morning, I was shocked. And it took my mind into the concept or the narrative of Biafra. And I began to think deep about how far humans can go for their selfish end. Now, nobody can tell me that the man said it out of anger. The leader of Wagner didn't say it out of anger. He said it because that was the truth. Ukraine was not a threat, but because he needed to prove himself using war so that he would be given the rank of a field marshal, he decided to start a war in Ukraine. And he had to bring alibis to justify the war. And the alibi is that Ukraine is planning to join NATO, and NATO is planning to put weapons around its territory by getting Ukraine to be part of them. Now, all of these were just the narrative, the excuses, and Russia telling you they want to bring, they are fighting against, a Nazi approach to things. Nazi approach to things. And good evening from Mazik, from which flag is this? Oh my, which nation flag is it? Please tell me. Mazik, let you keep the work of truth burning, our Almighty Jehovah, who shines on you with extreme wisdom and intelligence, shall continue to guide you through. He said, thank you so much. I say to your prayers, thank you so much. Now, the leader of Wagner, the Wagner group that is fighting in Russia, said that the reason why the chief of staff of the defense staff began the war in Ukraine is because he wants to be a field marshal. Now, my question here is, and for those who are concerned, who are concerned about humanity, should be troubled here and should find it very disturbing, a very disturbing information, because when somebody starts a war against a whole nation, because he wants to be a field marshal, according to the leader of Wagner Group, who said that the reasons given are not true. That the reason for invading Ukraine is because he wants to prove himself by getting to fight a war in a very particular nation, and then using that as a means of boosting his portfolio or boosting his credentials, so that he would now be known as the field marshal. Now, how can a human being, somebody who is called a human being, who claims to be a human being, because to be human means to be humane, having human, that means you are reasonable, that means you are constructive, that means you are sensitive, that means you are kind, that means you have conscience that is alive, that means you are concerned about humanity because you are human. And so now it's concerning, it's disturbing when somebody decides to go into war because he wants to boost his own credentials, and he decides to attack nations and bombing, killing, and you can see the level of devastation in Ukraine as at today, and the war over 1 year plus now, of course, started in February 23rd or so. I can remember now, 25th of February, 2022, and up till now, about 1 year, 4 months or so, and the war is still on, and just on for 1 year, 4 months. Killing today, we hear of the 2 people who have been killed by a missile strike and so many other things from Russia. And of course, given the narrative in Russia and telling the Russians that the reason for the war is they want to bring down Nazi strategies or another Nazi program emanating or being created in their territory, or they want to denazify Ukraine and bring back justice and all of that, and bring out sanity, based on the fact that the West is also creating another Nazi feel or Nazi effect in the world and trying to establish that around the Russian territory. Now, it's crazy, when all these definitions are given, and then the people who are contracted to do the fighting, who have much information about the whole facts in Russia, are now telling us that the reason for that war is because one man wants to be a field marshal. Now, that gives me an insight to how extreme people can be for their selfish end. My mind went to Simon. My mind went to the members of the DOS. My mind went to the politicians. My mind went to the criminals, the saboteurs. My mind went to the e-frogs and all of these people, because I began to wonder, can people go this level? Now, why would anybody threaten me, for instance? Let me just use myself for example. We have so many of our comrades that are receiving threat messages about being killed or to be killed and all of that. Why would somebody threaten me because I am speaking the truth? Anybody who listens to me and who wants to be truthful to themselves will know that I am speaking the truth, and I am trying to make sure that we stand on the truth and do things rightly. Why would anybody, if they are the ones? Have I threatened anybody who is about Simon? Have we come out to threaten anybody who is talking about Simon? Have we ever threatened anybody who is coming out to talk about the members of the DOS? Have I ever threatened anybody who comes to tell me that what I'm saying is a lie and that Simon is right or whatever? Have I ever threatened anybody like that? You know why? I don't need to threaten you, because all I need to do is to approve you or disapprove you, or to make my points by argument. So if you know you're on the path of truth, why do you want to threaten me? Why do you want to threaten my life? That tells you that that person threatening your life is actually not truthful. And that is what you see in Ukraine. The reason why Ukraine is being attacked is not because NATO, now that's my perspective, however you look at it, it's not because NATO is a threat to Russia. No, because if NATO is a threat to Russia, then you have to sit down and discuss these matters. But for you to just go into a nation and attack the whole nation, and then tell us that because NATO and Ukraine is planning to join NATO, and they plan to join NATO, and so what? Build yourself, build your nation, and continue your nation. Okay, it's a neighbor. Ukraine is a neighbor. So if I as a neighbor need to make a friend of someone, all you need to do is to cut off from me and secure your borders. Make sure that in the borders you have some kind of security to an extent, or you prepare yourself for anything. But attacking a nation, attacking anybody who is just trying to do their own thing, means that there's something about you, especially when you attack, is negative. insecurity. Sorry, yes, it's time. So anybody who comes to be threatening anybody who is you saw how the DOS people were doing it initially. Simon started coming to speak the truth as at last year ago, when the truth, when we started saying the truth and talking about the truth, and Simon was supporting the people, supporting the and everybody who is on the truth, because he wants to get the attention of turning to be on the path of truth. And what the DOS members were doing is to threaten them. And they threaten them. When people say killed, how they keep killing people, it's also out of that. And all of these things are because they are insecure. So they feel that the lives of these people, these ones who are talking, the threats to the all who are in the path of life do is that once you speak the truth, they feel very threatened. And that threat comes to the level of getting. Anytime you allow yourself to be hijacked with evil and lies, all you can do is to think about something very extreme to get rid of that truth, so that you will not be revealed, or so that you will not be exposed, not revealed now, so that you will not be exposed. So the fact here is that these guys are threatening because they are afraid of being exposed. Simon and his rogue team members are threatening people, trying to kill people, looking for who to kill, exposing the camps and calling and making everything open, so that they will be able to destroy Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's legacy and destroy Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's ESN, so that they can erect their own. So that's for them to achieve that. They don't need to argue constructively, because they know they can't argue their points constructively. They don't need to sit down to jaw, because they know that jawing cannot give them results, because of course they can't defend anything by lies. So since anything cannot be defended with lies, the only thing you have to do is to apply force, negative force, to get yourself up. And that is why they have to use the concept of threat and death. You can imagine somebody telling me that my days are numbered, as if he has my years, and as if he is my creator, or as if he has any input to my life, to me being created, or as if his life, his own life, also is not subject to a maker somewhere who can take his own life, or as if he doesn't even have blood flowing in his veins, and so he has the monopoly of violence. Now you see, when you are threatening someone, what do you know about them? What do you know about me? You don't know anything. You don't know me. You can't be threatening someone you don't even know, unless you have something that you know you can get at them. And when you know something to get at them, you don't even need to threaten them. But because you want me to be quiet, so you don't even know me. Some of you say you know my place in Biafra land, and yet you say I am not a Biafran. Are you people stable at all? Simon and Co. and your team, you said I'm not a Biafran, but I was working with Simon and helping him, supporting him massively with my mental, my abilities and my mental content. I was useful, and so there was no problem. I was cool. I was a Biafran. And of course, at that point in time, I'm not a criminal. But as soon as I tell you that you have lied, you have stolen the resources, you give accounts to the Biafrans and do all of this stuff. Now it means that I'm a criminal. I'm no more a Biafran and all of that. And you see all of this stuff. Well, anyways, I've not come here to speak about them, but I'm trying to make you guys understand some stuff. Now, listen to this. When I listened to that Wagner leader, I began to think about how evil our people are. Now it takes my mind to this same video I watched of this particular person who claims to be a Biafran, and yet he's in Mecca, and he was promoting a criminal. He was promoting Hope Uzodinma. Now, I don't have a problem with anybody deciding to wherever they want to worship and all of that, but you can't join a religion that is trying to exterminate or cause genocide to God's people. No. Once you're a Biafran religion that is planning genocide against our people, you have committed treason. In fact, it's a treasonable felony. That's the truth. Because if a group of people from a particular religion says they want to exterminate their religion, that means after they have captured our territory and taken our men, kill our people, and then take over our women, marry them, take them and by force and then they force every other person to become slave and every other person to submit to their religion, then it means that that religion is a religion of terrorism. And as much as you don't want people to have their free will, then you're a terrorist, because you terrify people by putting fear in them and carrying out some kind of actions that endangers them, endangers their lives, endangers their future, endangers their nation, endangers their species or species, endangers them as a people. Because let me use the word species or species or something. Species or species, because sometimes you just have to I use species because species or species. Americans say species, British say species. So I use that word species, even if it doesn't, because we're not different kinds of people, we're the same people. But of course, as a nation, we are a people. Every nation have their, so we are unique by that. So I use that word species here, especially in quote. So that doesn't mean that we are different kinds of human being. No. I beg to disagree. Kelechi, Russia credits more than middle rise. USA and Russia almost went to war in 1961 because Russia stationed their missile in Cuba, the Cuban Missile Crisis. Yes, of course, they went to war at that time because of the Russia stationed their stuff. Of course, they did that, and that was in 1961. And the narrative right now, obviously, from I'm not judging the whole thing by whoever wants to station weapon and all of that. NATO is a group of nations coming together, and if a nation decides to join NATO, that is their business. That's their private business. Russia cannot tell Ukraine who to belong to and who not to belong to, because they are several nations. It's just like Biafra coming to tell the old Udua nation that they must belong to this group and that group, and then if they don't belong, then they fight them because they want to belong to a group. Now, if NATO is a threat to them, and then there are ways to deal with that matter, not to invade a nation who wants to be. What does it take? It's just arrogance and pride and fighting for supremacy and control. That's what this fighting for control. That's what is going on right now. And if the leader of Wagner can come out to say the reason why this man is doing this is he's using the excuse of all of this stuff to fight, to be that he has succeeded in carrying out a war, to a nation that is connected to and indirectly fighting the West, and then so that he can be a field marshal. Who are we to say that what he said is not true? The guy came out, he's the one contracted, he knows the internal politics, and he came all out to say that the reason why this war was called, not because we cannot settle this matter by Georgia or by discussing. There are ways to settle this matter, but the war was made, the decision was made a final decision because this man really wanted a war to happen. So just like when America invaded Iraq, because America have suffered September 9/11 stuff, the 9/11 stuff in 2001, September 11th. Because of what they have suffered, they needed to have a nation as a scapegoat. And they saw that they now projected it to mean that if this kind of thing can happen, people like Saddam Hussein can be part of those who are indirectly sponsoring this kind of Al-Qaeda and all of that. And the next thing you see that they claim it, they said, what's the name of this man now? He said nuclear weapons. And the IAEA also went in, and nuclear weapons were not found later on. That is after the war. No nuclear weapon, during the invasion of Iraq, no nuclear weapon was found. People look for reasons for a war. America looked for a reason to invade Russia in 1961 because missiles were, because they wanted to. It's about power. We want to be in control of this area. We want to be the ones. If it's America that stationed the weapons, they're good, it's fine. Okay, so for the fact that America invaded that then doesn't mean that Russia have to invade now. Because it doesn't justify the fact at all. Because even if America invaded Russia as of 1961, that doesn't justify America. And that would not mean that so they too now should be justified for invading Ukraine. Because Ukraine is a sovereign nation. And NATO is not an illegal body. It's only a body of control. The same way also Russia is coming into Africa to try to dominate some stuff. Every nation of other parts of the world want to come to Africa and they want to have a particular nation under their control. Look at Wagner doing some crazy things in Mali and other places in Africa. But these Wagners, they are sponsored by Russia because they want to be in control. They want to be in charge. Every of them are looking for a way of being in charge. So we cannot say that because America invaded, then Russia also should invade. No, America was wrong. So invading now cannot be justified because it was initially, that's wrong, was initially carried out by America. So okay, let's look at it. America invaded Russia. Did America invade Cuba? Why don't Russia invade America? Why invade Ukraine? Because Ukraine says they want to be part of NATO. Go and invade America. Join forces with China as Russia. Join forces with all your Belarus and other people who are your allies. Face America as the head of NATO. Why face the one who says, I want to have these ones as my relationship because I'm afraid of you? Because I know you want to have control over me. Because, of course, for even Russia to invade in 2014, or is it 14 or so, and take over Crimea, that alone is enough to make Ukraine afraid because they feel that this man is not satisfied. He wants to get back the Soviet Union together. No matter what prevents, nothing can prevent you. Nobody can put up a document that will prevent Ukraine from joining anything they want to join. Even if there's a particular document that does that, even if there's a particular agreement that does that, even if it is broken and all of that, of course, Ukraine has not even joined NATO in the first place. So even if, of course, we know that there's a particular document signed, which is it George Bush talked about? Is it George Bush or Clinton? Clinton talked about something like that, that was initially signed, and then, but he didn't receive Congress stuff and all of that, and so it was not really. Even if we have such kinds of documents or such kind of document, that does not justify the invasion, because even if these ones are intending to just join NATO, it's a process. Power tussle, anytime they always want to, people will want to approach it with force, and that force will always be a negative force. But because everybody wants to be in control, everybody is so arrogant and proud, and that is why. What stops Russia, from taking this document? I don't like talking about these things, but because of these points you're making here, I'm now beginning to talk about it. I want to talk about Biafra because I'm concerned about my people. What stops them from taking the document? This is the document. This is an agreement we had. So let's go to international court to settle this matter and let the matter be there. As at that time, when the matter is in the international level, the court, the matter, Ukraine of being part of that this issue joining NATO should be stalled for now. Let there be, a pronouncement to that effect, and then the courts will give that order, and then they attacked because anyway to advance their borders of Russia. They attacked because the Americans also wanted to advance their borders of Russia. It's power tussle. It's about power. Also, is it true that Ukraine was oppressing ethnic Russians who are part of Ukraine? Even if they are oppressing them, then there are ways to take these matters up. Is it by invading a whole nation and causing devastation all over the nations of the world? And now Russia weapons of mass. So what do you see here? This shows you that it's all about power tussle. America. I don't argue this. This does not call for argument. We shouldn't argue this because it does. There's nothing that will justify America. America should have invade America. Leave Ukraine alone. America occupies a large part of Cuba. Doesn't mean Cuba is America, or doesn't mean that America, because if America stationed their weapons there, then and Russia and station their weapons there, or America stations their weapon there, and anybody could attack anybody for stationing weapons. So that means anytime anybody stands up to station weapon, then somebody else who is close there will now attack. Then we're going to live in a world of comatose. In fact, all of us will be gone very soon. The world will just close down. Because if we want to look at it as that, then Russia has so many of their military all over Africa. America have so many of their militaries all over Africa. Why are they stationing all over Africa? This is about power tussle. Nobody wants, but they want to control other people's territory, but they don't want anybody to control territories around them. All of them are guilty of oppressing weaker countries. That's what we're saying. They are all guilty of oppressing weaker countries. That is why I said none of them can be justified in this regard. America cannot be justified. Ukraine cannot be justified. I'm sorry, Russia cannot be justified. But America trying to get Ukraine to be, is part of being the world power. Russia also wants to be world power, but Russia is taking it to another level because however it is, let them just destabilize the whole thing since they cannot take control of this whole thing. That's what it means. Because if America is in the position, if America, and then military base in Ukraine. For God's sake. The network is I don't know this network problem. Please, I don't know what's happening. I'm not seeing myself. Okay, I can see myself now. The thing is red here. Please bear with me in this regard. Anyways, what I want to try to bring out here is this. I'm trying to bring out the statement of Belarus. I mean, this not Belarus now. This man has been sent to Belarus, the leader of Wagner. The leader of Wagner. I want to bring out this point here about him. Now, see, he said that the reason for that invasion is because he said it. I didn't say it. He said it. Now that tells you that there are things beyond our knowledge. Sometimes when you see, okay, now let me put this to you. Suddenly we came across something called COVID-19. I know what I've lost because of COVID. If not for COVID, maybe I would have started my, let me not go there. I always talk about that project thing. Now, let's keep this issue of my project away, because I don't know why I always refer to it. I don't want to be talking about it because it gets me upset. And I get more angry with Simon Epa and his rogue team. Now, listen. Today, we are talking about COVID. And by what we know, there are few people in the world that are manipulating this whole process so that they would be able to make more money. Am I correct? For instance, Bill Gates. Bill Gates is one of those fronting for vaccines, have been fronting for vaccines and keep fronting for vaccines, and all over the world, their business of vaccine and medicine is so a multi-billion-dollar business all over the nations of the world. Now let's see, watch this. In Nigeria, they came in, Bill Gates and his crew, and they decided to buy over the health sector, because that's what they did. And I'm going to try to see if I'm going to see that video. I'm going to play that tomorrow, by God's grace, I'm of a particular man in Nigeria. That's where I'm going to go. I'm just introducing this now to this, because it is what I want to speak about tomorrow. But based on this narrative that we're given here, I'm bringing it out now. Now, based on this fact, anytime you ask Bill Gates and all his team members, because to me they are rogue team members, they have caused divers. Why would people always invent some stuff and then it kills some people and then they begin to try to bring solutions to it? They create a virus, they put it into the space, and then people begin to die, and then they tell you that they are designing vaccines. You know why? Criminality and wickedness. Now we know all of these. The same way also, nations are thinking of their own selfish ends. The same Ukraine, together with Russia, supplied weapons and pilots to Nigeria to kill Biafrans between 1967 and 1970. Now they are killing each other. God is revenging for us. I sympathize with children. If we say God is revenging, okay, I want to believe that God is revenging. But of course, what is then the reason for our own self-made destruction? Is it God revenging? It's not God revenging. It is not. When the people tried to sabotage Moses' program for the taking the people to the promised land, it wasn't God revenging. It was self-made destruction. And so when that destruction now started coming, when the murmuring and all of that came in, please, I am in the broadcast right now. I'm broadcasting right now, please. I'm broadcasting right now, please. Call me. Let's go on, please. Now listen. Sorry, a call was coming and I have to. Now, sometimes we talk about God revenging. How did these people, how were they able to succeed in supplying weapons to Nigeria? If you look at the narrative of the war, the 1967 war, let me get this, because I don't want to always quickly bring God into this. And even if there's a law by God's standard, there's going to be a revenge, vengeance is mine, and all of that. I want to also look at the human side, what we do wrong sometimes that gets us into these problems, because what we do wrong actually propels this vengeance coming to us. In their own narrative, they did that wrong by supplying weapons to Nigeria. So, of course, we can also say that God is revenging because that is a law that God has set as a natural law. Be you who, once you get involved in a particular kind of evil, it has a way of playing back. But let's look at the side of the people, Biafrans. In spite of the supplies these people were given to Nigerians, I want to tell you why that supply or those supplies were able to be very effective. I'm going to play this Mazen Namekano's voice again. Listen.
All of you, 200 million idiots, complete morons. You are there. You're looking sheepishly like a bunch of white. In fact, a hyena is better than all of you. Why do I even? Can you manage my make? If I want to interact, that is why I don't go to parties. I don't do anything because the way we reason is laughable. If I want to interact with true Africans, I go to wildlife safari park. At least if I see a zebra, a chimpanzee, those are our true Africans. We can mingle together. Maybe I can understand.
You see, what Mazen Namekano was trying to make us understand here is that we are always the architect of our own problems. Did you know that Ojukwu suffered a whole setback because of our people, the attitude of our people? Okay, now, how can we explain that we have some Biafrans? There's one they call them, I don't know whether you watched that video, you know, I like this post that Adazan just brought now because it's opening so many things about the sabotaging and all of that in my mind. Now, how can you explain this? That some Biafrans went to Mecca, and in that place they say they're on a holy ground, and they said they have gone a trip of holiness to meet God, And yet, in that trip of holiness, somebody puts up his video and telling you about Hope Uzodimma, who didn't win an election in the first place. As Mazen Americano said here, that he was the fourth position, but he was put in the first. And somebody is in a place where he said he is worshiping God in truth and on the holy ground, he calls it. And that person is telling you lies, telling you to support criminality, telling you to support evil, and promoting an evil person on his platform of holiness. And then he calls himself one name, then he starts reciting Bismillah, Rahman Rahim, all those kind of stuff. Started reciting some stuff after telling you to embrace promoting evil. The reason why we lost that Biafra war was because of saboteurs, not because of the weapons supplied to Nigeria. Because if not for the sabotage, we would have had enough weapons. The sabotaging could not give us access to weapons. And of course, we need weapons. It was a guerrilla warfare. There was no way that the Nigerian said that the air, land, sea blockade might have caused us to lose, but there's no way we would have lost. And of course, we that if we have held on for a long time, if we have held on for a while, we would have won that war, that Biafra war. We would have won that war if we had held on for a while. Somebody goes, a Biafran. To kill his people. Killers to his. It is the corrupt people in that place that are the corrupt in that time. They are not true of that religion. But what about those who are true? Saudi Arabia that you went to, have they condemned? What are they doing to make sure that these people who are carrying weapons in their name of their religion, what have they done to stop them? The Sokoto Caliphate, the man there, the Caliph in Sokoto, what have they done to make sure that they get rid of these men coming in with AK-47 from all those places, entering the borders through their states? What have they done? And they're sending them, they're all coming into Biafra land. What have they done about it? Thank you, Canon Media, for coming. Thank you so much. Now, what have they done about it? And yet, a Biafran would decide to go and join. Now, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. You see this freedom we're fighting? You see all this wishing Biafra. We're not going to achieve Biafra by wish. It's not possible. You don't wish Biafra. You work it out. And to work it out, you work it with truth. Work out your salvation. You work out your freedom. You don't wish it. And in line with working out your salvation or working out your freedom, what does salvation mean? To be saved. That's what it means. Salvation is the noun word for save. It's noun word for the verb save, to save. Scripture, that's why you see, you cannot do without the scripture. Those of you who don't want to believe in the scripture because you feel that Britain brought it, you are just deceiving yourself, because God himself is the scripture. And you cannot find God unless you find Christ. As I told you yesterday, I'm not going to go there now for today. Because Christ is the evidence of God as a revelation, which is the Rhema, the thought of God coming evidently in the physical. And for God to deal with us in the physical, he needs a human vessel. And so he comes in, he became flesh so that he can relate with us. Now listen. When you want to make out something, it takes effort, it takes knowledge, and it takes a recipe. Now that recipe comes from knowledge. That knowledge is the product of the recipe that will be, like when you want to bake bread, for instance. You want to bake bread, you want to bake cake, or all of that. You have a recipe for everything you want to bake. Biafra Freedom has a recipe, and the ingredients to the perfect recipe: truth, justice, equity, good conscience, transparency, consistency. These are ingredients for the recipe. Now, recipe has to do with the measure for each of the ingredients necessary or needed for the particular product or particular item, or the bread you want to bake. Now, but the recipe is different from the ingredient, even if the ingredient is used to make the recipe. But the problem here is that we want to get the bread, which is Biafra, but we don't want to identify with the ingredient. Not to even talk about the recipe, because the knowledge of the recipe requires identifying the ingredients. How can anybody talk about freedom or talk about Biafra when Biafra has features that are ingredients for the recipe? Truth, justice, equity, good conscience, transparency, accountability, consistency. How do you want to achieve? Now look at what is happening in Biafra land. Look at what Simon and his rogue team, even Asari, that is what he is working with, because the two of them are serving Nigeria's interest. Asari even said it. It is clear to even the most stupid that this is a clear treason, or this is a clear coup against the leader of Biafra by Simon's actions. It is even clear to the most stupid as Asari is. It is so evident and clear to even the blind, to even the deaf, to even the dumb, that these actions of Simon are proof of coup and treason. So clear. You don't need to be a scientist, a mathematician, or whatever to know that. You don't even need to have a BSc or even a school cert to know. Common sense. You can't say you are true to Biafra and you are busy picking up titles and your leader is in the confines of the enemy. You can't say you are a true disciple and your master is in the camp of the enemies. And all you decided to do is to discard everything that he represents and try to uninstall every structure that he has put in place. Obviously, by your actions. You can't say you are a true disciple and your leader is in the confinement of the enemies, and you suddenly give yourself a political title without his consent. You can't say you are a true disciple or follower of someone when they are in the custody of the enemy. And then all you're doing is to set up a program that will help stabilize your own organization. What should be the most important priority to people whose leader is in the confinement of the enemies? Common sense, what should be? It's as simple as that. Their priority is to see that their leader is free. And that is why in the accountability and transparency group, we have made it a priority, release Mazen free, release Mazen Amekano, restore Biafra. This is the conclusion of the whole matter, nothing else. A servant is never greater than his master. Thank you so much, Adazayan, for that. A servant is never greater than his master. But when a servant begins to empower himself over and against his master, then you can be assured that that is a clear case of treason. To say, John, that Mazen Amekano is no more in control. To expose the fact, but Simon has committed treason. People, we must do all it takes to get our freedom. And everybody who is a saboteur in our land pay for it. One, you must boycott them. You must make sure that you don't support in any ways. You must make sure that whatever you do or however you do it, you are not supporting anything that is contrary to the ingredients for the achievement of Biafra. Because the ingredients are very, very important. Because the recipe is how we utilize these ingredients. And that is why the accountability group and transparency group, has a formula or has the recipe using the ingredients that make up Biafra. Adazan says it is like a son boasting that he has produced an heir before his father. Oh Lord, have mercy. What an abomination. What an abomination. What an abomination. I want to talk to those ESN commanders and those ESN people who have decided, those ESN members who have decided to sell this whole thing. There's so many stories coming out of ESN that are so yeah, Markiv Media says, Masgashi, thanks for popping up this virus, the Gates Group and mission. Those plans are birth control against very critical issue about this, and pressure populates, and they want. This is why I don't believe in anything that has to do with Bill Gates Foundation or anything that will connect us to working with them. I don't believe in Bill Gates Foundation and all of that. All these people who have caused them. They wanted to use them these better, but God was powerful. Now I want to speak to those ESN people, those ESN members and their commanders who have decided to join and to sabotage. I told you, I'm going to said it to every ESN. He spoke critically to the 17 commanders as at them, and which refers to every ESN member. You see, in the DSS custody is very significant. It is because of you. I'm talking to the ESN members now. It was able to erect ESN. Yes, the Gates Foundation is evil and we cannot work with them. Now, it is because I don't know if you can hear me. It seems like the network is just cutting me off. Now, it is because of ESN that Mazin Nambekano is sacrificing till now. Because of you, because you were created, because ESN was created. And that is why Mazin Nambekano is so. That you understand that today. Mazin Nambekano has not created ESN. And when they now saw that creation of ESN is going to actually bring down Nigeria, nobody would have been able to sell Mazin Nambekano. The zoo came all out to put the 200 or 100 million bounty on him also, because they know that their end has come based on the fact that ESN has been created. Mazin Nambekano created ESN and gave you the platform to come in. And his heart desire is that every one of you will work towards the freedom of Biafra. That was the reason. And his heart desire is that you're going to come with that. A heart that's sincere and trust to bring about freedom. That was why. But recently, we have seen how much some of you have compromised. You have allowed yourself to be bought over by money, with money. Some of you are even playing games. You are working with the members of the DOS. You're working with Simon, and some of you have even come into the Accountability and Transparency group. You just want to be everywhere. Now, you can't eat your cake and have it. That's the truth. 2, you cannot be in this sensitive corner of this spiritual program of redemption, which is the dragon flag being lifted, the part of the armed, the armed, wing of this freedom movement, and you compromise your stance of truth. If you guys have been working together and shown everything that has to do with manipulation and money is buying you over, by now you guys would have come together and would have been able to do something effectively for freeing Mazin Nambekano. But you guys allowed yourself to be bought over by the shenanigans and the rituals of the Nigeria contraption. And this money to you here, there, using some of their men, using some of their agents who are working as proxies. It is not until Nigeria directly contracts people before you know that they are working for Nigeria. Once everything you do contradicts truth, justice, and equity, contradicts the doctrine of Biafra, and works against the issue of the freedom of God's people, you are directly or indirectly working the program of Nigeria. At the same time, you are contracted by them. Because whenever what you are doing is about your selfish end and interest, you have actually explained and projected the fact that you are working for the Nigeria contraption, at the same time working for the British. The last people that Mazin Nambekano would ever desire and want to compromise is the ESN. And lately we have seen so much compromise, so many information and stories here and there. Things are not clear, everything going here and there, haywire. This one has done this, that have done that, and this one is doing this. And then some of you have allowed yourself to be bought over by Simon's rogue team and Azuka and Co. Of course, they are part of all of them. They're together and manipulating you with money so that they can destroy the legacy of Mazin Nambekano and bringing down ESN. Now, those of you who have allowed yourself to be utilized for this particular manipulation and evil, you must know that you will not go scot-free. That's the truth. The spirit of Biafra will definitely deal with you. will definitely deal with you. That's the truth. You can't go scot-free. You can't go this level to destroy Mazen Americano's legacy and think that you can survive it. No, you can't survive it. We must come to the fact that there's something we need to do right, and we must do it right. ESN, you must shun this greed for money, this greed for the highest bidder. You must stop working for those who are working against the Biafra people. Every one of you, you must stop it. It is very, very important for our freedom to be actualized and to be gained. It is very, very important. I'm speaking to the ESN members and the commanders. Every one of you who have decided to sell your conscience and go for money, the highest bidder, I'm speaking to you right now. You must shun that evil and you must return to the mark. You must return to the truth you once believed. You must come back to the basis. You must come back to that plan of truth, that plan, that arrangement. Those of you who are busy all over the nations of the world funding the ESN so that they can be your militia or work your own program, your days are numbered, because Chukwokike is going to handle you. And if Chukwokike leaves you long enough, then it means he's leaving you for the law to take its course. Definitely, you know you're going to face the law. Whatever you think you're achieving, those of you who are buying houses and everything, like Azuka and Simon and Co., you are purchasing houses, buying so many things, investing in businesses in South Africa, going into cryptocurrency, using Biafra money, and doing lots of businesses with the resources of Biafra people. You think you are going to enjoy it forever? No, you're not going to enjoy it forever. You'll face the law. If Chukwokike doesn't cut you off, then you're going to face the law, because we are going to bring it to justice. And everything that you think you have acquired, you might be enjoying them now, but you're going to suffer for them, because they will be seized and you will suffer for them. Don't think you're going to have a good ending. If your greed has blinded your eyes, your greed have covered your mind and caused a blockade on your thinking, and you have become beclouded in your mind with evil and greed, then you have to know this, that the payday is coming. The payday is coming. Those of you who are on the path of truth know that the payday is coming too, because you're going to achieve truth. You're going to achieve success. Nobody will kill you. Just stand on the path of truth consistently, but be quiet, be careful. Wise as serpent, harmless as dove. Wise as serpent, harmless as dove. Wise as serpent, harmless as dove. You must understand this. Those of you who are working in truth, stay consistent, stay truthful, stay focused. You're going to receive your pay according to the order of Chukwokike. You're going to receive your pay, and it's going to be wonderful. You're going to be paid well by Chukwu. But I'm talking to those people who have decided to allow themselves to become criminals and being used by the enemies to distort and to destroy the work of freedom that we are in. Your days are numbered. You see, we are all suffering the effect of your criminality and your sabotage. Samanepa and his rogue team, the DOS members, and other people who are just there, here and there, e-frogs, jumping around. All you do is emotional stupidity, because you have been emotionally attached to a particular person. Whatever that person does is not wrong. Some of you have been emotionally attached to the DOS members, and whatever they are doing, the evil they are carrying out to you is not wrong. No, nothing can go wrong with them. Some of you have been emotionally attached to Simon, and so your stupidity have taken control of you, or have taken the most of you, and all you do is that whatever Simon does and his rogue team they do to you is good. Let's just go on. It's okay. It's fine. Let's continue. You have to understand that you also are going to bear it's going to come on you also. The effects, the consequences, it will run in your generation too. But you are going to get Biafra. One thing is true and sure. Whatever you guys do, you can't stop Biafra. You can't stop Biafra. You can't stop Biafra. That's the truth. You can't stop Biafra. We're going to get it. Sometimes your action might cause some delays, but the truth there is also that action that you have put up will be very, very destructive to you. Somebody's asking, tell us what the evil DOS have done. Or your brain is do you have short memory? Some of you have short memory. That's the problem with Biafrans. That's why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said that you have a serious. He prefers to go and relate with he prefers to go and relate with zebras and ostrich and rats and cockroaches. In fact, animals generally. Let me leave insects alone. Animals. In fact, insects are very important to relate with them, because how can you be asking me what evil have they done? Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped. What did they do about it? Have you seen any commission and committee for fact-finding committee? Your leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, is kidnapped, and people who claim that they don't have a hand in it have not raised the fact-finding committee. Even some of the discussions, we heard that some of them are of the no. They knew that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped, and yet they didn't say anything until he was brought into the zoo. Now, when the time came for there to be a lockdown, the same people, I'm reminding you this ethos, since you have short memory, the same people decided to end the lockdown. In fact, after the, please, I'm in a broadcast. I'll call you back later. I'm still broadcasting. I'll call you, please. So now they did that and all of that. Now they permitted, collected money from the politicians, allowed Anambra election to be held, called off every sit at home or any no election in Anambra. Or have you forgotten? You want me to keep reminding you? Okay. And they began to fight the sit at home for Mondays. At least the sit at home was for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. They were fighting it. Or didn't you hear when Chinasa himself said that Ejiofor actually had information about the fact that there's a plan to actually eliminate Mazi Nnamdi Kanu or to take him on? We heard all of that played on air. Is it that we have short memories, or you don't see these things as enough evidences? I don't know what else you guys want. I don't know what else you call evil. That's everything that would make us stand to make sure Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is free. They stand against it. Is it you think it's just to come and go and go to the street and come? I say come and go. Sorry, that's a bad. You think it's just for us to just come when you know you're working? By their fruits, you know them. What have they done so far? Mazi Nnamdi Kanu told them categorically, or let me play what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said so that you can hear and understand. See what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said here. Listen.
Worst mistake Buhari ever made was to arrest him. Yes. The worst mistake ever. What is going to happen? I am taking IPOB to Abuja on the 17th of next month in our court case.
We are with you, sir. We are with you.
There will be 2 million people in Abuja.
Yes. I will be there. I will be there. I will be there with you, sir. I will be there.
We take the battle to our enemies.
Yes, sir.
And let me make this very clear to you. You are under oath.
Yes.
And by virtue of that oath, you are under direct order from me.
Yes.
Any day you wake up, you hear I've been arrested, born Nigeria down to
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My network. My network, I don't know what's going on with my network. Can somebody hear me? Now, Mazen Amekano gave, okay, I think I can see myself now. The guy is saying I'm lying. Can you imagine? So I should open conversation. So what do you want? You want to argue with me on this matter? Massy Media. Today we have a guys show. Now, what does it mean? Let me ask this. You say your name is Del. You don't have a real name, so I don't expect you to reason right. So I'm lying. What does it mean for someone to say that any day you don't see me burn down Nigeria? What is Chinas and Co doing today? Have they obeyed that order? What can you tell me that they have done today that proves that they love Mazen Amekano and they're ready for him to be released? Can you tell me? And you want to come and you want me to bring a line and for you to start arguing on this platform, this hallowed platform? So open a conversation. What conversation do you want to open? Or if I want to open a conversation, I'll open conversation on facts where we talk about, not to come and argue about this whole thing. Not to argue about whether you want me to come and tell me that I'm lying. How am I lying? I'm talking here to, my voice will go all over the world where people are. Why would I be lying? What have I said that is a lie here? Did you hold Anambra election or not? Did you hold 2023 election or not? The only way to stop Nigeria and to make Nigeria crumble is to stop these kinds of things that will profit Nigeria. Election will profit Nigeria. You burn down Nigeria. We're not saying go and set fire or start killing people. No. But you caused Nigeria to come down and for it to come down to its knees. You stop the election. You make sure you stand on that. Thank you so much. You're blackmailing the US for nothing. Lord have mercy. I now know you're an Ifro. You are one of those people whose brain has been blockaded by sentiments and emotional attachment. You are just attached to people that no matter what they do wrong, you don't see. And because you want to just bear the name DOS, so you just want to continue. So I don't need to waste my time on you. You are just, if at this time you don't see what is wrong with what is going on with people and what they are doing, and you cannot tell when people are, okay, you can hear me. Thank you so much, Design. Thank you. Appreciate it. So, look at upon all I'm explaining, you're telling me you want the US to begin a war. And so, didn't you hear Mazen Amekano say we will fight? Or you want me to show you that he said we can do that we cannot do that without a fight? Let me play it to you so that you can hear. And Mazen Amekano said it. Listen.
Support both sides. If they give us peace, that is wonderful. If they decide to go down the route of violence, then I can give you this assurance today. Of course, your worldwide listeners and viewers may be able to note this. If they do not give us Biafra, there will be nothing living in that very zoo they call Nigeria. Nothing will.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Oh, ye Ifro. Did you hear that? Ethos. That doesn't make, that name doesn't make any sense. Did you hear that? When somebody comes and kidnaps your leader, what is that person calling for? It's not war. When somebody comes into your family and need to cut the necks of your people, what is that supposed to be? Is it not war? Oh my God. Can you imagine what this? Oh my God. I'm not here to argue with daft people. Did you see the ground plan of APC in Anambra? Can you imagine? What has APC got to do with? You can imagine how people reason. We have serious mental problem. Look at Mazen Amekano saying it there. I've given you the answers you need. Just go back and play those videos that I just go back to this and just go back. You'll see that and listen to what Mazen Amekano. They give us options. The options they give you. Now, the option they have given us now is the option of war. To ever kidnap the leader of the Biafra people is called, it's just like somebody going to kidnap you go to kidnap Joe Biden. What is that person calling for? Somebody goes to kidnap Joe Biden. That person is calling for war. I'm already closing. It's already closing time. The calls, anybody who wants to talk, I'll give, every Saturday we're going to be opening the lines only on Saturdays. I'm going to get the lines open on Saturdays so that you can call in. And then you can tell me, and if you call in, then if you have something reasonable to speak, the people will hear you. If you have something stupid to talk about, then people hear you and will just stop you, because we don't want stupid arguments here. Because the arguments he's making here don't make sense. It's already time. It's I didn't want to exceed 1 hour 30 minutes, but it's now 1 hour 49 minutes, which is 1 hour 15 minutes. And I'm going to open up. If you want to talk, if you want to speak, you come on Saturday 4 p.m. Biafra time. You're going to have the floor to speak here on this platform. I'm going to open the lines on Saturdays. Saturdays is the Nugget Conference where we interact and talk. So if you have any argument on anything, you want to defend Simon, you want to defend DOS members, you want to defend criminality, anything you want to do, come and speak, and then we'll educate you better so that you can understand things better. You know, so you come into that program on that day, then we're going to educate you. That's what we're going to do for today, for political teachings and all of that. And then on Saturdays, you can come with your arguments. So Delka, your name makes no sense anyways, but let me just pronounce it. Delka Ethos, you know, it bears some stuff. Somebody say I'm evil. Somebody shadow. They look at some. Okay, let me read what you're saying because I need to listen to people too when they are making arguments. Imagine supporting Shadow to carry the equipment that should be used to resist the zoo, and then coming to the public to castigate Simon. Now, what is Simon doing? I mean, what is Shadow also doing? Shadow is a commander and of Mazen Nambikano. And so, what is he doing also? You want him to give the equipment that he's going to use also from his side to resist the zoo. You should go and give it to Simon and then leave himself vulnerable. And you don't even understand that Simon was actually after Shadow because he feels that Shadow has not. Let me just make you people understand something there. Some of you just come to speak and you don't even know what you're saying. The truth about it is that Simon and Azuka are looking for people who are going to be loyal. And because Shadow is not loyal, they need to get rid of him. They want a man. They want somebody else to take over Ebonyi State. And so they needed somebody to be loyal. And so the issue is not because of the equipment. The issue is that they were angry that he was coming. He was part of the meeting too, that he's part of, he's not being loyal to them and all of that. So the issue here is that they want to get rid of him and put their man to be in charge of that state. And so it's not about, so the equipment needed to be. So when Shadow even explained everything, Shadow is also fighting for this stuff. Simon is not fighting. Simon, let me ask you this, Mike Mazi AGK. Let me ask you this simple question. All the equipment that Simon said he has purchased with your money, how come they are now sharing equipment? They have to go and move the one that is with Shadow to give to another commander. If you have sense, just answer this question. Why would they? He has been buying weapons. He said he has been buying weapons. He has everything. So how come you have to move equipment from one commander to another? Then how does the other commander secure himself? How does he secure his own camp when he's now left open? How does he secure himself? Every camp is supposed to have their weapon and all of that. So how do you expect Shadow to take his own equipment and go and give it to other people? Does it make sense to you? In spite of all the monies you have contributed, you didn't ask Simon the question. Simon, why would you tell Shadow to take his equipment and go and give the other person? Why didn't you buy enough equipment to go around? Did you ask him that question? You say AGK, your name is AGK. Did you ask him that question? Why would he take and why would you have people working with you and you tell them to begin to share equipment in a war situation? 2, what with the other equipment that Simon has? Did he stop the election according to what he said, based on the fact that you were contributing the monies for him to stop the election? Did he stop the election? What did he do with the other equipment? Because this issue happened before the election. So he wanted to stop the election. He told he has acquired everything is on ground. That is what Simon told you. That everything is on ground to stop the election. Now, what did he stop the election? The other equipment, was he able to use them to do what he promised you? So how come that the equipment that Shadow is holding becomes the problem? Becomes the only one that can stop the zoo? So you mean that without that Shadow's equipment, Simon cannot stop the zoo? So what you're telling me now, that Simon could not stop the zoo from conducting election in Biafra land because Shadow was holding an equipment. And let me just read through your messages and see how see your ignorance displayed before your face. To resist the zoo with Shadow's equipment. So other equipment, there was no other equipment to resist the zoo, just Shadow's equipment. What a daft argument. Coming to the public to castigate someone that no action is taking place on ground. You and your accountability group are posting Amazonia's field action and mocking Simon for giving just cause, but now he is showing you actions. Which actions? Now let me tell you something. You guys are just so daft. Did you know that the videos being posted right now are actions that have happened a long time ago? That's how daft people are. Ask questions. Look at the videos being posted. Look at the videos posted. Videos of things that have happened a long time ago that are in our that we already have stored. But now that he's showing actions, which actions is he showing you? You're under your wife's wrapper, still gossiping. Can you imagine? I am giving you facts here. You say gossip. Are you not a gossip? You are the one who is gossip. You just came into this place, into my program. I didn't invite you, but because you're a gossip, you rush into people's programs. You just rush into people's programs, invade their privacy, because as an e-frog, you have no other choice. All you do is jump from one place. I am busy discussing on my own truth. You jump into my program as a gossip to hear the gossip also, so that you can come to bring in your own insult in the line of my gossip. So who is the gossip here? Oh, you massive e-frog. Mauricio Caterpillar says that he fell out with Simon Ekpa just because Simon wants to go to amber way of agitation, which you guys used to mock Simon. Can you imagine? Anambra and Zoo general election has been, because like Kelechi ignites the cord of division amongst the men on ground. Can you imagine? Now you see how daft you are. When the men on ground were complaining about not having supplies, we called Simon for a meeting, and you call yourself Mazi Ejuke. For you, and you call yourself, let's just assume that you're a leader. So if you are called into a meeting where the people who are working with you say there are people who are complaining, let's talk, discuss with them. This is not the first time I've called Simon into a meeting. We have called him several times into meetings. Several meetings. Why is he now shying away from a meeting that has to do with the commanders? Why is he shying away from that meeting? There are several meetings we have called him, including when the Eastern think tank group had meetings. Several times he comes into the meeting. Sometimes when we need him urgently, we say, Simon, we want you in the next meeting. And he comes. So why is it that when it has to do with the men, something as crucial as security, you guys don't reason? Something as crucial as security, and people are telling you that men are complaining. If he truly has stopping the Nigeria election, it's not to see that this is an urgency. What is a priority other than security at that point in time? Now, as somebody who calls yourself AGK, AGKMA, you should be knowledgeable. Somebody who claims some of his men who are in the security units that would carry out that action are complaining. What did you do? The people you are working with, the think tank group and other people who called you for the meeting are people who are part of you. What do you do as, let me not call you a particular name, because I would have called you a particular name that would, I don't like insulting people. Because you're already insulting me here. It says stupid accountability crap. Because you deserve your anomano, now you be. You are just a bushmeat. Can you imagine the kind of argument you are giving here? Here, I'm going to be having also aside Twitter space where people will come to speak. We're also going to be having Saturdays here also for people to come. The Nugget conference has been like that for a long time. The issues of the election and all of that, we have not been able to have, able to have the programs in perspective. But we have we are going to be having the Nugget conference as we have slated it from time since last year. May not hold on Saturdays because on Sundays. The reason why Twitter Space have not been holding for Sundays because most times we have meetings, several meetings come up and that, and then of course broadcast comes in the afternoon, and of course normally from the broadcast I go to the Twitter Space, but because of meetings, I cannot, and so let's see how it goes, whether we'll be reinstating the Twitter Space, but if not, then of course we're going to be, those who want to speak also will come here on Saturdays. Saturdays basically is supposed to be interaction, We'll talk. So I'm going to open the lines on Saturdays. From this Saturday, we're going to be opening the lines for people to talk. Problems. You have the number. I'm going to display it so that you can reach me. Just that the number is always off. I don't know. I'll try to begin to put the phone on because sometimes I don't know why I always have that stuff off. And so, yes, you're going to reach me there, and then you should come join Accountability, where genuine ideas are welcome. Thank you so much, Kunon View Media. Now, you know what surprises me, Kunon View, is that you have a platform where you tell people, come in, we are going to, your ideas, we are going to rub minds together, we are going to decide on the issues of our freedom together, collectively. Nobody will run the show. Nobody will come and tell you, tomorrow we are doing this. No, we all will argue it out, reason it out, and then we come to conclusion. And they are fighting it. They are fighting that process because they want somebody they have been sentimentally attached to. That person, Simon, they cannot give that person idea. Simon, they see them talking. They can't even give Simon idea and he takes it. Some of them don't even have access to him. All they do is wait for him to come and tell them one thing. I've done water, 30-0. That's all they want. And then they get excited and come on social media and begin to display. I don't know how stupid our people are, for God's sake. Now you have a platform where we say, see, for what Mazi Nnamdi has taught us, as far as he has taught us, now we are not supposed to have a leader because he's still our leader and he's there. So now we that are the followers, we come together, we reason together, we bring ideas together, and we now conclude on the ideas together. And then we now take action based on the concluded ideas or the resolutions we make from our deliberations. Nobody takes charge. Nobody says, I am in charge. No, there's no even one person that Nigeria government will go after and then they get everybody down. No, because we're all working together. And they will tell you, no, they are resisting that. They resist. Why would anybody resist transparency and accountability in the first place? Why would you resist a platform that offers you an ability to bring your ideas for us to discuss? But because they are emotionally attached and because of the evil of their hearts, their criminality, they would never embrace anything that will give them result, positive result. You're talking about disloyalty. You see, empty people. Disloyalty. Do you know what disloyalty means? So you think that worshiping Simon means loyalty? You think that this stupidity you're expressing here now is loyalty? Because you're expressing the highest level of stupidity concerning Simon. The person who couldn't give you, who had all the weapons he's waiting for. So it was Shadow's weapon that stopped him from achieving no election in the zoo or in the Biafra land. Don't mind, Makiv Media, don't mind. It said, does it mean that DOS is now a branch of APC in Nigeria? While Center in Anambra, what's actually going on? Can you imagine this guy coming to tell me about APC? Can you imagine this? That tells you where they're coming from. Oh, Lord have mercy. How come you are supporting Shadow to disobey his commander-in-chief? Who is his commander-in-chief? So you see, now, oh, Lord have mercy. Now you see, now Biafrans, you see that they have actually planned to dethrone Mazi Nnamdi. In the first place, who made Simon the commander-in-chief? You see how they shoot themselves on the foot. Somebody is here, called himself Mazi Ejike. He calls himself Ejike. You know what the meaning of Ejike? Ejike. Now he is now telling us that Mazi Nnamdi is no more the commander-in-chief. Have you ever heard in this world where you have two commander-in-chiefs? Now look at him, telling us that Simon is the commander-in-chief, whereas Simon was just supposed to broadcast on Radio Biafra, according to Mazi Nnamdi, based on what he said. And then we now also said, okay, let him be our spokesperson. Let him front. Let him stay there, be speaking for us. And then take actions on our behalf. And then suddenly from that point, he now tasted power. He now discovered that he can make himself, give himself more leverage to take control. He now called himself Dragon, then called himself Ambassador, called himself every different thing. Called himself so many names, and they were giving him titles. He was happy. He called himself so many things. And then now they are now calling him Commander-in-Chief. That is why he called himself Prime Minister. Now you are telling me that now you want to tell me now that people like Shadow and all of that should now be loyal to him now because now he is the new commander-in-chief. Mazi Nnamdi have been dethroned, according to what Asari Dokubo said. Now you see how evil these people are. You see now that they have exposed themselves. He has now shown to us that the fact is that they have dethroned Mazen Namdekano. That's what he's saying. He says, see it here. He said, how come you are supporting Shadow to disobey his commander-in-chief? In every nation, only one commander-in-chief. The equipment is not for Shadow, it's for Biafra. At that point. Now, who told you that Simon is the leader of Biafra? Because it is the commander-in-chief that is the leader of Biafra. So Mazen Namdekano is the leader of Biafra. So he's the commander-in-chief. So Shadow is loyal to Mazen Namdekano. All Simon and Azuka are supposed to do is, because the people are sending the monies to the account, they are supposed to fund ESN, not to tell Shadow and Co. what to do. Not to have Shadow to be loyal, not to have Shadow loyal to them. At that point, Shadow needed to be disengaged, and the equipment was needed by men that are ready to stand for Biafra. You are not serious. You are not serious. I should not be concerned with your stuff. Someone is now posting old videos. Old videos. I'm ashamed of these Biafra people. Honestly, Edith Nedu, very, very ashamed of them. Very, very. They will see truth. They will just with their own hands. They don't want to be free, and yet they're suffering. Look at old videos that Simon is posting everywhere. Old videos. You know that period, Mazen Namdekano said that whenever things are happening, the commanders should not be posting them online. But of course, some of us were getting those videos secretly, somehow. And Mazen Namdekano said those things should not be posted. And of course, even after Mazen Namdekano was kidnapped and things were still happening, the mandate was that nobody should post these videos online, because to secure our men, to make sure that what we're doing is on the ground. Mazen Namdekano said it. Now they now see that because these videos were not posted then, they can use the videos to manipulate the system now by projecting them now, since nobody have seen them in the open. Now they are now posting these old videos. Look at the other video of these men, the Nigeria soldiers on the ground and all of that. That was a video during that time of Nelly. Old video. Look at the other time. The other one was showing a particular bomb. They said a bomb that was exploded and all that, a particle of the bomb. Old video. I have that video a long time ago. And somebody's coming here to tell us that he's showing us videos. That is how daft you are. You don't make investigations. You don't ask questions. You don't make your findings. You just believe anything because you are emotionally destroyed. You are just senseless. If you are not senseless, even if you love your wife or you love your husband, you must verify what they say. If your children, no matter how you love your children, when your children come to tell you A, B, C, you must verify. You don't love people out of your senses. You see, just like somebody catches the wife, with somebody else in bed. The wife is putting on pants. The husband is the man is putting on pants. And then the man quickly, when he heard the knock, he quickly stood up and still wearing his pants. And all of that one stuff I saw, still wearing pants and was using tape to measure the wife. The man now came in. He says, "Oh, to see if I'm a tailor. I'm trying to measure." With somebody else wearing only pants, and then the man is saying that he's measuring the wife to know the size of the cloth that she wants to sew. And then you now come, oh, because you love your wife. Oh, I believe my wife has not done anything wrong. Leave them, they are just wearing pants, but it doesn't matter. Chai. Who do this? Edith Nedu. Now, Edith, I have to come to your stuff. I am so ashamed of Biafra people. Chai, who do this kind of thing to our people? Look at what somebody posted here. So-called educate. So you want to buy equipment and Lord have mercy. Who do this to our people? The number is not on now anyways, Ethos. You see the number. Maybe I'm going to put it on later. Where's the phone? Where's that phone? Okay, the phone is here. Let me put it on to see if I can, I don't know. Let me put the phone on. So Ethos, so you can call if you want to call in. But the problem is that it will not be able to speak through the Bluetooth. We'll talk later anyways. Ethos, there's no time. I've exceeded my time. I want to discuss something with you. Okay, I just want to see how Simon will bring Biafra this year. Edith, it's impossible. It's not. Simon is not fighting for Biafra. He's just using Biafra as a program for himself. Transparency and accountability group shall account for every penny of resources you put in it. It shall be well appropriated. Join ATG now to rescue. You know what you are contributing for. You know what it is being used for. That is where reasonable people work. That is what reasonable people go for. You know what you are contributing for. You know what is happening to your resources. You can tell tell that what you are looking for is actually justified. You can always know what you're working for and all of that. You can. I mean, and yet people will say people are fighting what is transparent. Makiv Media, I always call it Makiv or Massive. Let me read. In fact, this pursuit for Biafra freedom is actually an eye-opener to me on how animalistic of wash-up brains. The most of Biafrans are very ironic and ridiculous. Honestly, Makiv, I sometimes you just wonder how our people reason. They reason back. They reason upside down. Let's see how your accountability group will be productive without leadership. Can you imagine? Do you know what leadership is? Now, let me tell you what leadership is. Leadership is not about fronting one person and that person coming to command, call the shots. In accountability group, we have structure, and that structure works with departments. Each department has a moderator. The moderator works based on the collective ideas of the people. That means when a department wants to make a decision, the decision is not based on one person's imposition. It is based on everybody speaking and discussing, and then everybody agreeing, and then the moderator fronts that idea to an executive body under that same accountability group. So the structure gives a basis of collective responsibility, even if nobody is fronted as the leader. I can't say I'm the leader. Nobody there can say they are leaders. Nobody. Kunon View cannot say he's the leader. Edith Nedu cannot say she's the leader. Ego cannot say he's the leader. Adazan cannot say she's the leader. Everybody is there based on the fact that we all know our responsibility in the context of leadership. That means by what you can offer, you are automatically a leader. And by presenting what you can offer, and you are now being a servant as a leader. And then when we discuss on what we are discussing based on what you have presented, and the ideas will come together to agree on the resolution we make, that is the front for the concept of leadership through that process. That means everybody is now being fronted as the leader based on the resolution becomes the one person to come and for pain on social media, or leadership is one or two idiots come to pressing breast on that's leadership means leader to lead. Some people take a special delight in exhibiting their stupidity. Honestly, it's so crazy. It's so crazy. For MNK, but you are not in any way exhibiting the love in your action by bringing out MNK, and I will take you seriously. Can you imagine? You're Simon that all your money because we want to now do something differently. Your Simon couldn't do that. All the monies you gave to him, as stupid as you are, you can't even go to ask him section and to force Nigeria release Muslim can and to stop anything Nigerian Biafra land. You couldn't go to ask him because you are stupid, you are a coward, you are just a mumu, you are just a follow, you just follow and you follow without brains. You lack ability to reason, because if you reason, you will ask your leaders questions, your so-called leaders, your so-called prime minister, you ask him questions. But you are here now coming to rant and to display your ignorance, because this is where you think that you can actually express yourself. And all this expression you are making here is supposed to go to your leader, your so-called Simon. But because you're a coward, you transfer the aggression on somebody else. That's what you're doing. Because you're a coward, you cannot face him and ask him critical questions because your brain is low. You have a low self-esteem. You feel that without Simon as fronting as leader, because your low self-esteem, you don't have a value for self. You cannot even ask questions to the people who are representing you. Because if you have value for yourself, you know that anybody who should represent you should have a value for you. And two, that person should represent you in truth and accountability. So if somebody is fronting and standing representing you, that person cannot front truth and accountability, cannot even give you records and reports of what he's doing on your behalf, then it means that you don't even have value for yourself and you don't even deserve, you don't think that you deserve to be talked to or to be reported to, because every leader reports to the followers. That's what it means. The only way I express my value is in the person who is representing me. That's why you can stand today and talk about America, because anybody who represents America as a leader, see, that person represents the strength of the whole people. That's why they are very concerned about who is their president and all of that. He's just in a place. He's confuse you as a moron that you are, so he will deceive you with that. He comes to tell you that he's acquired a building in Maryland, and that building is going to put Biafra flag in front of it. He's going to put a coat of arms on top and all that. You cannot ask him questions. Till today, he has not done that. He's only showing you offices. To offer, and because you don't have anything to offer, you are afraid of losing Simon. Because and whereas Simon is a moron and so low in thinking and are empty. All right, my husband says he's deliberately winning me up, but at least he's helping me to teach the people, to teach him in his ignorance. Because if he's not so ignorant and stupid, he will not come here to win me up. So he's winning me up because he's just empty. He's just empty. He doesn't know he is afraid. Who is Dr. Cho Ayuba of Amazonia? Is he the commander-in-chief? Who told you he's the commander? Dr. Cho come to tell you he's their commander-in-chief. Adamu like you. You're supposed to be in Fulani camp. Fulani is even smarter than you. You call yourself educated. You're supposed to be Mujahid. Holy warrior. What that Mujahid? I think that's what it means. Because you go and fight battle of ignorance. You're supposed to be a Mujahid. Go and join them. Join Asari Dokubo. You shouldn't be Mazi and HK. Who gave you Mazi? It's talking about did Ayuba come to tell you he's commander-in-chief? Adamu. Who just that's evil. Oh my. So which side is supposed to be loyal to? How can you look at it? He's still talking, he's still arguing. Replying to Mazi, is going to be charged of doing for Adamu. I'll compose songs for all these e-frogs. I need to compose songs for all of you. You guys are daft. Very, very daft. Let me read some other messages. Let me see. Edith Nadu says these people are so evil. Okay. Juliet says, replying to HK, so-called Mujahid, so-called Adamu. In fact, we should refer to Adamu, the e-frog called Adamu. You are a compound fool who made the criminal Simon a commander-in-chief of ESN. You're this imbecile. The ESN he knew, was it when it was formed, or which ESN? You don't know anything, you just come into it and say you're commander-in-chief. Who is the idiotic Simon to disengage MNK's commander? Who gave him such right and power? He wants to together. Can you imagine if frogs, this disengage and say he's sacked or he's suspended? Who is it that you people don't have sense? Oh, ye frogs, something is wrong somewhere. a gallant that MNK made his commander, and Simon would dare to disengage him. You must be he's a madman. He's a madman. He's just a complete moron. Just, if you don't know APC, this one already has plans down to take over Anambra. Can you imagine? You are still talking about Lord have mercy. These people are terrible. Oh my God, these people are terrible. Talking about APC. So you see, politics was the whole thing. Now, don't you see that something is wrong with you guys? Eto, don't you see that your argument is so porous and reveals the content of the betrayal? Don't you see it? Is it everything people can tell you? When you speak, you ask yourself questions. This thing what talks, if it makes sense. Okay, you say, Mazi Kelichi, why is the AGK of a man chat messages aren't appearing here? Were you reading his idiotic and brainless message from? Where are you reading this? I'm reading it from here now. Why are you guys not seeing it? Why? How come Juliet is able to see it? You people couldn't see it. Let me see what's happening. Let me see if there's anything that happened to it. Oh, I don't know why it is not appearing. So you guys are not seeing it. Wow. I don't know. I didn't do anything to it. I know this AGK must be Simon somewhere, just wrote something and he's coming to call himself Commander-in-Chief here. This AGK must be Simon. But Simon or Azuka or one of his staunch henchmen, staunch idiot. You're Fulani. He's a Fulani. He said I'm Fulani. Oh my God. The guy said I'm Fulani. Simon, you are saying I'm Fulani, Simon. Simon, you are not calling yourself AGK because I know it is only you that can display this level of foolishness. You want to promote yourself. You're calling yourself Commander-in-Chief. You are now telling me that you have rights to dethrone Mazen and the Kano by and disengaging his commander. Can you imagine, Simon? You are here misbehaving. You're always everywhere with fake names. Now we know you very well. You are just a common criminal. People call you smart criminal. I tell you, no, you're not a smart criminal. You're just a common criminal. Because I know the way you reason, and I know this. If I observe the narrative of this argument here by this so-called AGK, is your level, is the way you reason. So it's obvious now that you are the one here, and of course you continue to. You have made me spend so much time here, 2 hours 22 minutes, talking, and of course I needed to educate you more. Anyway, Simon, I know you are the AGK here, so let me educate you, Simon. You don't have control, you don't have rights. All you are doing is just social media ranting. When the time comes, we'll know. This Biafra we're talking about, you know that it's more than just being on social media and to telling. If you've been talking about sit at home and all of that. Have you seen people respond when you call them some lockdown and all of that? Do people respond? You thought you had powers, and so that was why you didn't plan anything. You thought that you were going to collect the people's monies, deceive them that you're going to buy equipment, and you had everything on ground to stop the election. And then you now thought that you had power. When you say everybody should sit at home, nobody will now come out for the election. And then you would have defrauded them by collecting their money, and then making them feel that you are buying some stuff to stop the election, whereas you think that you already have control over their minds, so you're going to stop them from coming out for the election. They all came out, they voted, because you are not in control. And because you have stolen the monies, you needed to start deceiving them, and you needed to start giving them, they call them boo-boo, those kind of stuff, boo-boo, where you just keep doing some stuff, and you just the more you look, the less you see. It's like that's what you're doing to your people now. Now I'm still waiting for you to put the coat of arm, as you said here. Let me show it to you again, Simon. Simon, this guy here, this name here, AGK, is Simon. I know. So Simon, let me remind you of the stuff you displayed that you said you are going to do. I want to remind you, where's that thing? I want to remind you of your vow to your e-frogs. This is what you said you are going to do. See the coat of arm at the middle point of the house, coat of arm on the right-hand side of the house, and of course, Biafra flags rightly positioned in front of the building. Simon, we're still waiting for you to do that. It is very, very important so that people like your e-frogs, can jubilate and know that, yes, you are really working. So Simon, we're waiting for that to be done as quickly as possible. We're waiting for that to be done. So just get yourself prepared and get yourself, you know, I want to speak to the ESN. ESN, those of you who have deviated, just come together. Simon does not have any control over you. He's just manipulating you with money, and he's building his empire, building his own structure. But you must understand that you are loyal to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Nobody is the commander-in-chief except Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Every one of you, ESN, should understand this. And all Biafrans too, I want to let you know that it is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that is the commander-in-chief. No other person is the commander-in-chief. No other person is the commander-in-chief. And that is it. And of course, Simon has stolen your resources and all of that. Just, it doesn't matter. We can still begin. We can still get our arts together. And that is why the accountability. By next week, we're going to be unveiling, definitely by next week, we're going to be unveiling very, very much. We're going to be unveiling, and quickly, we are running now. We are very, very ready. We're preparing, and we have prepared very well. And we're going to be unveiling. And then you're going to see the real action of freedom fighting. You're going to see the real action of truth and accountability. And you're going to see how we're going to make sure that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is released, and at the same time, that we restore Biafra. You're going to see how it's done. It's going to come from the intellectual involvement of every Biafran, intellectual involvement, every one of us coming together. And that is why we're telling you out there, if you have something to offer, we know that every Biafran is a member of the accountability and transparency group, because that is what we are fighting for, to get everybody free. So automatically you are part of the general member. You are a general member. And we have registered members, those who are in particular departments, and working for the freedom of God's people. And so you are the one that is going to be, if you want to work in that, comes out, we'll now present to him what we collectively agreed on. When Mazi Nnamdi Kanu comes out, we present to him what we collectively agreed on. That is why we all must agree, knowing that our the idea solutions, and as soon as we romance the ideas and make our own solutions, when our leader comes out, we present to him, this is what we all agreed. How do you see it? And fine. So what that group take the glory to say that I'm the leader? Then who else? How can we have two leaders? You can have two captains in a boat. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the leader. We all are cooperating with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu by working on the precepts and the standards that he has brought from Chukwu Okike and given to us. And of course, and then we present, and he approves. That's what we're doing. So it is another opportunity for us to come together, and we're calling on you right now. We're going to come together with our resources, our money. Some people say, you people are looking for money. So you've been giving money to Simon to steal from you, and now we're calling you now to be part of this, so that you'll be able to free yourself using your monies. And you are now where you are supposed to do it right. You don't want to do it right, but you want to do it where it is wrong. All lives matters. I want to see who is speaking, although I will not be able to get you to speak loud here. But let me bring you on here. I don't know. I hope it will be loud enough for the people to hear you. Hello, who is calling, please? And you're calling. I put on the phone now. The call has come in. So let me just, since I've already taken time, let me just, as Edith Nedu said, let me just open the line so that you can talk. Oh, the call is gone. Anyways, and let me see if he's going to return. And let me see if the call is going to return. Now, that is it. So we are coming together under the auspices of the Accountability and Transparency Group, which is Biafra. That is what Biafra represents. That is what truth represents. That is what IPOB represents. So when we talk about IPOB, we're talking about our transparency, accountability. Those of us in IPOB who have decided to be truthful, we are now going to come under the umbrella of our accountability and transparency. That is not a different group. It is only an identification code. We are all IPOB, but we are identified by the fact that we are holding on to truth, justice, and good conscience. That means accountability and transparency. So that is the code, or that is the feature we possess. Those are the features we possess, and that represents just like when Israel and when Moses came down from the mountain, and there was this evil going on, and he said, "Who is on the Lord's side? Let him come to this place." And those who didn't join in the shenanigans of evil, just like Simon is calling now for people to join, patronize evil to restore Biafra. And then Mazi Nnamdi Kanu comes and says, "Who are on the Lord's side?" We now say, okay, those of us who said who decided to be accountable and transparent, we now move to this side. and then the others are cut off and destroyed and sent to the law takes its course, or Chukwuokike deals with them. That's how it's going to happen. That's what it is. So we want to identify ourselves as people who are not part of this evil going on, and all of that. And then we can now say all of this in the regard. Hello, who is calling, please? You're welcome.
Good evening, Kelechi.
Yes, good evening. Who is calling, please?
I'm watching your program. You talk enough, and you are so good to be in midst of all those criminals. The way I watch, and you are very intelligent. But where we have fear is that there's something people don't know. We are no more HIV. We don't fear Simon ever. Simon is a criminal, which everybody knows. And I wish Simon will come out in an open place to say that he's commanding Biafrans. Nobody will command us. No matter the threat, no matter the way he use weapons and harassing people, who tell them to sit at home. Simon is nobody. He just ranting on social media, which everybody knows. So, my brother, you particular Kelechi, I'm watching you. You are intelligent, you are brilliant. People don't know. You are too good to be in midst of all those people, and I wish you will one day see a means to. No matter, I know what you are fighting for. But staying with the criminals, is it better like that pastor you see, Livingstone? You forget what Livingstone tell us about the Simon ever. We are telling him this man is criminal. This man is not within Nandekaro. This man, and we know what he come there for. Livingstone refused, telling us that Livingstone support 100% of whatever Simon is doing, killing Simon, killing people, killing innocent people. Without Livingstone. But you, Kelechi, you are silent. We watch you. You are not somebody who make noise. You just there. Let's talk the facts. Even other of your colleagues that are with Simon, but they don't make noise. But that Livingstone is after Simon. Is that Livingstone? I say, what type of pastor is this?
All right, my brother. Let me tell you. Let me tell you, my brother. I just want to. Okay, just finish up. Finish up.
It's a criminal pastor. As you see the face, I say, look, so everything it does, look.
My brother, you just hold on. Let me tell you this, my brother. You see, thank you for calling. I know you're watching, so thank you for calling. I just have to put it so that I can, because I'm rounding off. Now, let me tell you something. You see, for the fact that people come to support a cause at a particular time, people who can be loyal based on their support. I remember also during the time of Simon, I was working with him effectively. I was doing so many internal job, administrative work, secretarial job, and all of that for Biafra. And I just come do my broadcast, go inside, do the work I need to do. And I was supporting Simon. I didn't need to come all out here to say that. Of course, everything Simon says, I come here to say it and declare by supporting what he's doing and declare my support for him. That is what people who are dedicated to see that we all get this thing done and do. Now, I may not have spoken very, very, very much on maintaining my loyalty, let me put it in quotes, for Simon in that regard, based on that time, at that time, and all of that, and in that way that you think, but the truth about it is that for the fact that somebody else voices out more to talk about his loyalty and all of that doesn't mean that the person is evil. Now, the reason why you see that we all now, Pastor Livingstone and every one of us, are now in this camp of seeing that we do things right is because everything we saw that we thought was right and which everybody was supporting at that time, where we were doing it with a clear conscience, a conscience that is of truth. A conscience that is, there are some people who express themselves much based on their support for people. I was not expressing myself much on like saying, like making someone feel that hey, I can lick his ass. You know, I was only supporting by what I do and supporting the things, the programs, and all of that. Come to talk about the programs. I was not talking about Simon. I was not saying so many things about Simon. Even if Pastor Livingstone was doing that and was talking about Simon, didn't mean that he is evil. No, he was doing it as at that time because he felt that Simon was on track. And what you need to do at that point when you think that somebody's on track is to support them. However it is, even if you are saying so much about them, talking about them and all of that, people have their way of expressing how they support people. I express my support by the offer of my services and my ideas and all about the programs that have been executed. I was talking about Simon. I was not, you're always coming to talk about Simon. I do this, I do. No, I was not doing all of that. But of course, I was supporting him in kind, and not in words. Pastor Livingstone was supporting him in words and all of that. Didn't mean that he meant to blackmail Biafra or to disregard Biafra. He was doing it as a way of expressing his own loyalty, in quotes, let's say loyalty in quotes now, or his own support for the cause of freedom. So now that is why you see that what he is doing now, he is so pained about it. When you listen to him speak, he speaks with the pain that after all this support as a human, we all are restricted. We are humans. There's no way he would have known that Simon was evil. There's no way that I would have known Simon was evil. If I knew Simon was evil initially, maybe I wouldn't have done, but I wouldn't have. Yes, of course, I knew that some things were going wrong, which made me to make sure that I was not coming all that time to talk about Simon. I was only taking the point of the programs. When he talks about the program, I come here and speak about the program because I knew that some things were going wrong when the finances were not being mentioned. That was when I knew when the accounts were not being given. And I was probing it. I said, these accounts are supposed to be released. People should know. And I was receiving this internal, and say, hey, stop. Let's just allow Simon. Simon knows about it. If we trust Simon, let's allow Simon do what he has to do until when the time comes. Then if he doesn't do it, then we know we will now face him. That was the argument. And I said, okay, if that's the argument, let me calm down. I will not be the only one who will be screaming and as if I want to destroy things. So let's see if he is going to get it right. And maybe he's going to do everything he's saying. He says purchasing this.